All right, welcome to today's class on Dotloop 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's class I'll be taking you through the Dotloop basics. So today's class is a slower paced class. It is designed for agents who have not been in Dotloop before maybe, or maybe you've been into the system a couple times but you're still new to it. All right, so that will be versing you on all the Dotloop basics. I also have the Dotloop 201 video, which can be found on slmtraining.com. That will be a little faster paced, and it will also take you through more tips, tricks, and time savers, so you can watch that after this class if you would like to. All right, so the first thing that we'll want to do is, of course, log into your Dotloop account. So the best way to go about doing that is actually by logging into mykw.kw.com. So that's where I am on my screen. So again, that is mykw.kw.com to log in. And you'll want to put in your username and password here. Typically, your username is something like your first initial, last name, and maybe a number if your last name's a little more on the common side. And your password will be case sensitive, just a heads up. So it does require an uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and a number. I know there's so many passwords for everything, so if you can't figure out your login for MyKW, first of all, you do have the option to do forgot password here, but also feel free to email support at scottleroymarketing.com and we'd be happy to help you reset your password. And we'll click login. All right, now when you log into MyKW, where you'll want to focus your attention is on this top center edge control panel box here, where you'll see it says My Transactions. So you'll hear and see Dotloop referred to as both Dotloop and My Transactions, okay? One the same there. So you'll go ahead to get into your Dotloop account, just go ahead and click on that blue link right under it that says Start My Transactions. Okay, so we're clicking on that blue link that says Start My Transaction. And in theory, that should take you directly into your Dotloop account without further password. Okay, so it should take you into a screen that looks similar to mine. However, you may not have any loops there yet. No worries, that's normal if you're new to Dotloop. Okay, if it does prompt you to log in to Dotloop, feel free to go ahead and put in your Dotloop email address and password there and click login. Okay, again, if you don't remember your Dotloop login, you can always reset that from that screen, or you can email support at scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you reset that. Now, as you log into Dotloop, one thing you will want to pay attention to is you'll want to make sure it does have a KW logo on the top left and say premium. Okay, so you'll want to see that premium on the top left to indicate that you are connected to your market center, so that you have all of your market center forms in your account, and also you have all of the Dotloop premium members, because you get that as a KW agent. If you are not seeing that it says premium on the top left, please go ahead and email support at scottleroymarketing.com and they can help you go ahead and connect that, and you can let them know you're in this class so they can connect that right away for you. Okay, so you will need to do that, just a heads up. And now another big question is, what is Dotloop? So let me tell you briefly what you'll be utilizing your Dotloop account for. So your Dotloop account is going to be like your online filing cabinet. So you're going to create a loop or an online file per transaction that you have. So for example, the way that Dotloop works is you'll have a loop per property that you sell. So if you're representing a client who is selling their home with you and then buying the next home, that's going to be two different loops because it's two different properties. Okay, so it's not a loop per client, it's a loop per property or loop per transaction. All right, so that's how Dotloop will work the best for you. And before we get going on this Dotloop homepage here, I do want to send over some Dotloop notes that I have. One second, let me send that over to you. So you can click on that link if you would like to print out. I just wrote out basically everything I'll be saying in today's class, so you can reference that. Okay, if you are watching this class recorded, I will link the notes to the bottom of the YouTube page. Okay, or you can email support at scottleroymarketing.com and put attention my name, which is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be happy to send that over to you. One other thing I'd like to send over is a Dotloop overview. So I do have a 20-minute version of the Dotloop basics, so that if down the road you forgot everything you learned in today's class, you can go to this overview. It'll be a 20-minute and it will take you through creating a loop, preparing a form, and sending it to your clients. I know it's always time sensitive when you need to get a form out or get something signed, so that'll help out as well. All right. So let's take a look at some of the Dotloop homepage navigation. So on the top right here, you'll notice 6 icons. And I'm going to tell you what each one does and then emphasize the ones that you'll be using the most. So this reporting icon, that will show you all of your reports within Dotloop, so things like year-to-date sales and other stats on your loops. And moving to the right, this is one that you'll be using quite a bit. And that loops icon, it kind of looks like a smiley face with no eyes. Okay, that will always take you back to your Dotloop homepage where we are now. So if you're lost in Dotloop or just need to get back home, this is the quickest way to do that. This tasks icon, moving to the right there. So you can create to-do lists for yourself within each loop, which is really helpful to keep you on track for the transaction. This task option on the very top here will show you an overarching to-do list of what you have due in all of your loops combined. Okay. Moving to the right, we do have this people icon that will show you any people that have been involved in all of your transactions within Dotloop. It's kind of like your Dotloop CRM. We can make it so that your any contacts you put into Dotloop automatically go over to your eEdge database, so we can integrate that for you. If you would like that done, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can set that up for you. Moving to the right, we have this templates icon, and I'll be starting today's class in just a moment. And the templates icon, very, very important. That's where all your blank forms sit, so you can print out a blank document and bring it on your appointment. So I'll show you that in just a moment here. All right, but you may see on the very top right here, you should see either your headshot or possibly initials in a circle here. Okay, if you're confused on why those aren't your initials, all right, that is typically the initials of the profile. So my profile is named KW Valentine, so that's why I have a KB there. Okay, it doesn't really matter, only you see that, but just a heads up if you're wondering that. All right, so clicking on this circle on the top right here, some things to note is this member ID. Is your audio off? I don't believe so. Can everyone else hear me? Would you mind confirming if someone else can hear me? Just to make sure. Okay, great. So it looks like if you cannot hear me, let me send this out one more time. Thanks for confirming that you can hear me though. All right, so that should help you get in right away. Alrighty. So anyway, on the top right here, that member ID. So that member ID is really great to know at least where that sits, or if you want to jot that down. If you call Dotloop support, it's breaking off. Okay, let me try and call back in to see if I can make that clear. Working fine for you, okay. All right, well keep me posted on if that, I'll adjust my headphones here, so keep me posted on if you have any trouble hearing me. All right, I reconnected my headset. So hopefully that will work clearly for everyone. Keep me posted if not, and I can always try recalling in. All right. So calling Dotloop support. So Dotloop support has really extended support hours. So if you have any issues, feel free to call their support line. And even better is if you put in your member ID when prompted, it will move you to the front of the support queue when you call. Since you're a Dotloop premium member, you get faster support. So really great to know where your member ID is so you can add that in, okay, when you call Dotloop support. Now you may see multiple profiles under this. Again, I clicked on the little circle on the top right there with your headshot or initials. You may have multiple profiles if you are an agent in another market center or you're transferring and so forth. Okay, but if you only have one, totally normal. For now, let's go ahead and click on My Account right here under your name to do just a little housekeeping. Okay, so we are clicking on that My Account option under that circle on the top right. And now what this section does is it will autofill all your personal information onto every form you bring into Dotloop that requires your contact information. So it's a huge time saver and obviously important that it's correct. All right, so starting off, let's talk about your headshot. It's really important to have your headshot entered in here because your clients are signing legal documents, and unfortunately with all the spam going around the internet, it makes them feel better if they see a familiar face in the loop. So if you do not have your headshot quite yet, all right, you can always email that to support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can add that in for you in the future. If you do have your headshot, you can go ahead and click Add Photo here. It will browse your computer for wherever you may have that. Let's see if I can find mine. Here we go. You can double click on that and it will pull that in. Okay, again, but feel free if you ever get your headshot in the future or change your headshot, feel free to email it over to us and we can add that in for you. There's actually 6 different spots we add in your headshot throughout the KW technology. All right, so talking about this information on the right-hand column here, first and last name, obviously important that's correct. All right, but your email address, please make sure to jot down what your Dotloop email address is. It is super, super important that you know what email address is connected to your Dotloop account because when agents go to share a form with you, it's really important that they share it to this email address specifically, not just any email address that you have, okay, or it won't show up in your Dotloop account. So go ahead and make sure you jot down or mental note what your Dotloop email address is. Moving on down, our fax and phone number here. All right, so you'll want this to be your business phone number, so maybe your cell phone that you're using for your business. If you have a fax, you can put that in here. If you do not, your office typically will have a fax machine, so you can always put that in at a later time if you don't know what that is off the top of your head. All right, e-sign name and e-sign initials. So these are what Dotloop will automatically sign your name as anywhere that requires your signature. So this will typically need to be your legal name. So if you go by Bill, but your real name is William, typically you'll want to sign by William. Okay, and if you sign with your middle initial, you can add that in as well here. All right, same with initials here. And now we have company name. So this is what it will automatically add your company name, especially on things like listing agreements and so forth. So in the very least, you'll want to say Keller Williams Realty. You may need to have your brokerage name as well. That's why I have Ballantyne area. I know in my area, I am required to have my brokerage name on there as well. Check with your broker in charge if you're not sure. But in the very least, make sure you have Keller Williams Realty here. Job title, that will also be specific for your area. Okay, so if you go by broker, realtor, salesperson, you know, it's typically different depending on the state or region you're in. Just a heads up, if you are writing the word realtor, that is a trademarked word, so you need to make sure you're always writing realtor in all caps. All right, your NERDS ID. So if you know that off the top of your head, you can go ahead and put in your NERDS ID. Just one last thing for you to remember, and it will autofill that information in any form that requires that. If you're still working on that section, feel free to continue doing so. I'm just going to scroll slightly down to this address section where we'll want to put in our office address specifically. So our country, you can go ahead and select which country you're in, your time zone, and then again, make sure you put in your office address specifically. So not your home address, your office address. If you're not sure of what your office address is, Google tends to know all, right? So feel free to Google it and you can add that in right away. And take your time, but once you're done with that, just make sure you click that save button on the bottom right there. You'll see a big red save button. It's the worst when you do all this work and forget to save it. So please make sure to click save on the very bottom. And anytime you save something in Dotloop, it will give you this yellow bar confirming the save was successful. So you can always keep an eye out for that to know it's saved. So again, one more time, just make sure to click save on the very bottom right, and then you can scroll to the top of your screen. All right, so on the top of my screen, I'm going to go ahead and select profiles on the left-hand side in red. Okay. Again, make sure you save it first. And then on the left-hand side, once you click profiles, again, if you're an agent in multiple market centers, you may see multiple profiles here, but totally normal if you only see one. And now from here, under your profile, let's go ahead and make sure to enter in this information at the top here. So phone number, make sure we're entering in our phone number. You'll probably have to do it again from what I remember. And your fax number, you can enter that in here as well. Okay, I know this is a little tedious, but I promise it will be a huge time saver in the future since it will autofill into all forms. So it'll really pay off. Profile details. Now the main section that we need to fill in profile details is your agent license number, as it will add that to all of your forms. All right, so if you have your license number, go ahead and add that in. Just one less thing for you to have to remember as a new agent. And we'll add that to all forms for you. And as you're adding in your agent license number on the right-hand side here, a question I get a lot is what's the difference between broker license number and agent license number? Okay, that broker license number will be for your broker in charge. So you can add that in once you get that, but the main thing we need right now is the agent license number. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about that company and associations right under there. Okay, so that will show you your brokerage information. So you'll want to make sure it's connected to the correct market center, as that is where it pulls all of your market center forms from that market center. All right, if you are seeing premium on the top left, that means you're connected to your market center. But if you have any questions on this section, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and they can just at least check to make sure your Dotloop account is connected properly. But at the very least, just make sure you see your market center name there. And company information. All right, so we'll want to make sure we have in our market center name, and you might need to add in your brokerage name as well there. Okay, so the main things we need to fill out in this section is the company name. So Keller Williams Realty and possibly your brokerage name if that is required for your area. Again, check with your broker in charge if you're unsure. Now you can skip that next line, but we need to go ahead and enter in our address one more time. I know we already did this, but if you didn't know your market center address before, well, the good news is you will now. So silver lining. All right, so just make sure you have your office address entered in here, not your personal home address. And while you're wrapping that up, I'm just going to talk about the notification settings underneath there. All right, this is typically always all checked. I'm not sure why mine got unchecked here. So yours should be all checked here. I would recommend leaving these all checked under notification settings. Okay, so what this does is it will shoot you an email if any of these items are done. So and they're really important things that you need to be notified of, things like when your document is signed by your client, you want a notification of that, when your signature is required, when your office staff does compliance on your loop and you receive a note indicating how you'll get paid, for example. Okay, so you'll see the different options here of when to receive a notification. If you ever get inundated with emails and want them to simmer down, you can come in here and uncheck any of these options at any time. But as a new agent, I would recommend leaving them all checked at the beginning. And then we can click Save on the very bottom right. Excuse me. So again, just make sure we click Save on the very bottom right, and you'll see that yellow bar confirming the save was successful. And once we click Save on the very bottom right there, let's scroll on back to the top. And let's take a stroll into the template section. All right, so the templates icon will look like two sheets of paper at the very top right of your screen. You'll notice if I put my mouse over that, it will pop up telling me it's the templates. So go ahead and select templates on the very top. Now, Dotloop can be used to a couple different capacities. So let's say your clients they don't trust electronic signatures. Okay, you'll run into that or they don't trust it, they don't want to sign electronically. And so you may have to simply print out a blank document and bring it onto your appointment, which is great anyway because you can explain the document to them and they can hand sign it next to you. Or let's say maybe you're not a fan of technology and you just want to do it the old school way. And again, print out a blank document, bring it on your appointment, and have them sign it right next to you. I'm going to show you the steps that will allow you to do that process here. So the first thing we'll have to do is go into the templates. And again, that looks like 2 sheets of paper on the top right of your screen. This is not on the notes that I sent over, the Dotloop notes, so if you would like to jot down instructions on how to do that to refer to later, feel free. All right, so on the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of red form folders going down your screen. Now, your form folders will look different than mine because this is put in by your awesome office staff. Okay, they add in all of these form folders for you, so don't worry if yours are different names there. So on the left-hand side, again, you'll see these are all form folders. So each one of these folders have all your forms in it. So you can scroll down and click on the form folder that you believe would have the form you're looking for. So I'm going to go show you how to print out a listing agreement. Okay, so if you want to follow along with this example, you can select whichever form folder on the left-hand side you believe will have a listing agreement. Once you select that form folder, it will display in black, showing you it's selected, and you will see all the forms in this right-hand column that are in that folder. You can scroll to the top of your screen and you'll see a search bar going across the top of all of these forms. And you can click on the word search to search for the form you're looking for. So let's say I'm going to type in the word listing. Okay, so when I type in the word listing, it will pull up all of the forms that have the word listing in the title of the form. Just to make sure I'm getting the correct form, you can simply click on the form name to open that up. You will then be able to come up to File on the top black toolbar and select Print from that dropdown. Okay, and that will print out a blank document for you, so you can hand fill it out and bring it onto your appointment to have them hand signed. Now I know that was a couple steps, so I'm going to walk you through that one more time. Okay, so if you're looking at a form, you'll see a little back arrow on the top left black toolbar here. It's kind of hard to see to the left of the form name there, a back arrow. Let me walk you through that one more time here. So we are in the template section. So it's the icon that looks like 2 sheets of paper. Step 1, we're going to select the form folder on the left-hand side that we believe would have the form that we're looking for. Step 2, use the search bar at the top of your screen to search for the form. Step 3, okay, we can either click on the form name there to open that up. Okay, alternatively, I just want to show you the 3 dots on the far right here. We'll give you the option to download the form from here. So we'll download it outside of the system as a PDF so you can print it from there. Okay, so again, you can either click the 3 drop-down dots next to the form name to download that and print it, or you can simply click on the form name to open that up, and then we click File and Print from there. Okay, so either one will allow you to print out blank documents. And just a quick tip, if you are not sure what the form name is, especially as a new agent, there are so many forms, and it's confusing to know which forms that you need. A lot of offices will have checklists for you of all the forms that are required for your listing, sales, closing folder. All right, so feel free to check in with your office staff to see if they have those checklists. So you can reference the form name from there to make it easier to search for in Dotloop. Okay, so that is how you go about finding and printing blank documents from your Dotloop account. Now, the whole concept of Dotloop is that it allows you to type in your forms, email it to your clients, and have them click to electronically sign that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you next. All right, but you can do it this way as well if you feel more comfortable. So let's get going on the fun stuff of creating a practice loop and showing you how all that is done. To do that, to get back to your Dotloop home screen, we'll go ahead and click on the loops icon on the top right. Again, it looks like a smiley face with no eyes. If I hover my mouse over it, it'll pop up showing me its loops. And that will take you back to your Dotloop home screen. So again, I click on that loops icon on the top right, and that will take you back to your Dotloop home screen. And we're going to add a loop. As you might have guessed, we'll go ahead and click Add Loop on the very top right, that blue button, to add a new loop in right away. All right, so again, if you missed that, I clicked on Add Loop on the top right, that blue button there, to add a new loop. And it'll show you the 4 steps that we are doing to add a loop in. So first of all, we're creating a loop name. So we'll want to put in the property address typically. Okay, so you can name the loop really whatever you want. If you know the property address, typically you'll want to go ahead and name it the property address. So let's say if you want to go ahead and name this 123 practice loop or 123 Main Street or your home address, whatever you would like to do. It's really great to have a practice loop in your account so that you can practice things in Dotloop before trying them out in front of your clients. So it looks like you know what you're doing. Always helpful. Okay, you can always name this your client's name after this as well. Okay, so again, if it is your listing and you know the property address, go ahead and name your loop the property address. I realize that if it is your buyer you're representing, you won't know the property address right out the gate. No worries, the loop name is super easy to change, and I'll be showing you how to do that once we create a loop. So we name that the property address, and then click Continue on the bottom right. And it will take me to step 2, which is template. Okay, so this is adding in a loop template. Now, if I click loop template here, you may or may not have some templates available. These are added in by your office staff, so if you don't have anything available, there's nothing wrong with your account. Your office just doesn't utilize this part of Dotloop. If you do have these options available, I would recommend selecting it. So what this does, if I were to select a loop template, let's say this was a North Carolina listing in my case, okay, that will pull in all the forms that I need to get started on my transaction. So it's a great time saver because it pulls in all the forms for me. It's not necessary. Okay, so just to make sure that we're on the same page, I'm not going to select one, but just a tip, if you have that available, I would go ahead and select that. Now I'll click Continue on the bottom right. All right, step 3 will take you to add in a photo, all right, which is also not a necessary step to do, so you can always just click Done from here. I'm going to show you what it does real quick so you can watch on my screen. So what you can do is you can add in a photo of the property that this loop pertains to. So in theory, let's say that this is a listing your clients are buying. You would go on the MLS and save the photo to your computer first, okay? Or if it's a listing they're selling, you know, you may already have those photos on your computer, but either way, the photo would need to be on your computer first, and you can click Upload a Photo. It will browse your computer. Let me just try and find where I have that. Here we go. Double click on that once you find the file, and it will add in a photo of the home. Now, Dotloop says if you take that, 30 seconds, if even, it took for me to add that in, that the client is 5 times more likely to use you again or refer you out because it makes them feel like, wow, that agent created a personalized website for me to sign my forms on, okay? So it is definitely worth your time to add that in. It's not customizable, so as you can see, it's just a sliver of the middle of the home here. It is what it is. You can't change it. You can't crop it. But it will add that in, giving it a nice personalized touch for your clients. All right, and so I can click Done on the bottom right here. And it will load for a moment here and then take you to your new loop. Okay, so now I can go ahead and click View Loop on the very bottom right to open up that loop right away. And we have now successfully created our first loop. All right, so there's 3 main sections of your loop that you'll want to focus on. So I'll take you through those. The document section here at the very top, that's where you'll be spending most of your time within Dotloop. So this is where you'll be adding forms to your loop, preparing the form, typing in the form, and sending it to your clients to electronically sign. All right, so most of your time will be spent in the document section. Scrolling on down to the very bottom, you will see a people section as well. Okay, this is where you'll be adding in anyone involved in the transaction. So your clients will be added in here, maybe your escrow, title person, they will all be added in here. You will always see yourself, yourself and your admin for your office added into the people section here. It's great that your admin can see your loops because they do compliance on your loops so that you can get paid, which is like why I think we do this real estate thing. Okay. You will want to make sure that you, again, note what your Dotloop email address is. Very important that you know what that is when sharing and preparing forms. Last but not least, we have the task section on the very bottom of your screen where you can create to-do lists for yourself in the system. So let's say it's a listing, you can create a to-do list and you can actually save that listing to-do list as a template to add to every listing that you have. So it will keep you on track of all the million things you have to do to get a listing ready to go live, such as put out a lockbox, put a sign in the yard, get it professionally measured, add photos to the MLS. Whatever the items may be that you do, get a listing live, you can add to-do lists for yourself on the bottom of your loop. And let's scroll back up to the top of your screen. So a big question I get is, great, I created a loop, now what do I do? Okay, so the first thing that you'll generally want to do when you create a loop is scroll up to the very top of the screen, and we want to go ahead and select View Details. On the very top, right under the loop name, which will generally be the property address, if you know it. So this is a moment that if you are following along and don't do this step, I will lose you for a little bit. So again, where I am going is under the property address or loop name at the top. Go ahead and click on View Details. It's a really important section for you guys to be aware of. So I clicked on View Details, and that will take me into the details of the loop. Now, before we get started on editing this information, let me tell you about what this does and why it's so important. So if you scroll on down, you'll start to see some information, some fields display, such as property address, financials, and so forth. Any information that you fill into this details section of the loop will autofill into every single form that you bring into this loop specifically. So it's a huge time saver, so you don't have to be typing in this information onto every single form you bring into your loop. Not to mention, if you are a new agent and you are just learning these forms, and some of these forms are 10 pages long plus, right? So it's hard to know where all of the information goes on the forms that you're bringing in. Dotloop, this has created a great learning tool for you. If you put in the information in these fields where you're straight up prompted for that information, Dotloop knows where on the form to fill in that information, so you can learn moving forward where that goes on the form. Okay, so we'll fill in some of this so you can take a look at how that works, but you'll see different things like property address information, financials, contract dates, offer dates, contract info, and so forth. Okay, so you can scroll down to take a look at all that info here. But let's scroll back to the top and just fill in some of this information so you can get a hang of that. So first of all, transaction type at the top. This will control some of the features within your loop. So where it says select transaction type, you would want to select if this is a purchase or listing for sale or so forth. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and select listing for sale. Okay. Now you'll have to go ahead and select the transaction type before it will allow you to select the loop status. So it has to be done in that order. Loop statuses are really, really important for your Dotloop home screen organization. And I talk a lot more about that in the Dotloop 201 class, so feel free to check that out on slmtraining.com. All right, but you can select the status of this loop, whether it be an active listing, under contract, or so forth. All right, just a quick note, there is no deleting anything in Dotloop, so you cannot delete forms, you cannot delete loops. You can only archive them. The good news with that is if you ever, quote unquote, lose a loop, it's not gone, it's not deleted, it's just, you'll just need to clear your filters to find that right away. And again, slmtraining.com, the Dotloop 201 class will verse you on how to do that. All right, but if you do ever want to get rid of a loop, okay, let's say it terminated or it was a practice loop you don't want to see anymore, you can only archive that. So selecting archive there will allow that to happen, but there's no deleting it. So in this case, I'll go ahead and select that this is an active listing. The loop name here, All right, so you can go ahead. This is where you can change the loop name if you need to. So if you would like to, let's say, add in the client's name as well. So I'll add in Tony Stark as my client's name for any Iron Man fans. Okay, and that will change the loop name right away. So you can see how easy it is to change that loop name anytime. People section. All right, so this is where we'll want to go ahead and add in the people to your loop. So you'll need to do that first before sending it to your clients to electronically sign. So the first thing that we'll do is go ahead and click Add Person on the top right of this People section. And there's three main things we'll have to fill in: full name, email address, and role. So full name, if you want to go ahead and put in John Smith or your favorite TV character or your spouse's name, okay, whatever name you would like to use here. I got Tony Stark buying a house today. All right, and then an email address. So I would recommend using an email address that you have, a personal email address that you have that's not connected to this Dotloop account, right? We've pointed out what your Dotloop email is, so don't use that one. But if you have a personal email address not connected to your Dotloop account, go ahead and put that in so that you can see what it looks like when your clients receive a form. Okay, and I'll try and make sure I show you at the end of class what it looks like from a client's view as well, so you can see that. But always great to practice on yourself first. And then role here. You 100% will want to make sure you add a role here. It is very important. Your clients will not be able to electronically sign unless you give them a role. So I'll stress that more, but it is super important that you give them a role. So in this case, since we're working on a listing, I'm going to select seller, but you'll see there's a whole bunch of different options for different roles that you can assign to your client. Okay, the most commonly used ones will be at the top. Once you select a role, it will pop up all these other fields that you can fill in for this person. This is not necessary. You can add that in and it will autofill in the form, but you do not have to. Before we move forward, I do want to talk about this Add to My Team feature here, this checkbox. If you are taking notes on today's class, please take a note that we never, ever, ever click this checkbox if we are adding our client to the loop. Now, what this checkbox does, so the general concept of Dotloop is everything is private in your loop until it is manually shared. Okay, and what this Add to My Team feature does is it would allow your clients to see everything in your loop that you can see. And we, of course, generally don't want that. Right? You only want your clients to be able to see what you choose to share with them, not everything in your loop. They don't need to see everything. A lot of the forms don't pertain to them. Okay, so we do not click this Add to My Team feature when you're adding your clients to the loop. However, it is a really cool feature. So let me tell you, sometimes you would want to utilize that. So let's say you are co-listing a property with another agent in your office. So emphasis on you are on the same side of the transaction as another agent in your office. If you are working on the loop together, you can add that other agent to the loop. Click Add to My Team, and it will add this loop into that other agent's Dotloop account as well, so they can see and do everything in the loop that you can do. So it's a great collaborative tool. Another great time to use it if you are on a Dotloop team and you have a team admin, you can add your team admin to every loop, click Add to My Team, and it will add this loop to their Dotloop account as well, so they can help you out with that, if you have a transaction coordinator, for example. All right, so let me know if you have any questions on the Add to My Team feature, but main takeaway is do not click that for your clients. And now after that long little spiel, let's go ahead and click on Add Person on the bottom right there. And you'll see your client has been added to the loop. If there were a spouse on the transaction, you would just repeat that process, click Add Person again to add the spouse in right away. One more thing we'll need to do here, under your name, again we see our Dotloop email address, where it says none, we need to change that to give you a role so that you can electronically sign forms where needed, like on a listing agreement, for example. So under where it says none, I'm going to go ahead and select listing agent from that drop down to assign myself a role. All right, so now that I have tackled the people section, let's move down slightly to this property address. Again, now we're moving to the part of the section that autofills all this information onto every form you bring into this loop. So we're just going to do just the property address just so you can see what it looks like when it autofills onto a form. 9876. All right, so if you want to do this with me and put in some information here so you can see what it looks like, street number and street name are two different fields. Okay, so you can just put in a little information if you would like to here. All right, and you can also scroll down to overview all the other information you can add in as well. And once you're done with that, let's go ahead and scroll to the very top of your screen and click Save on the top right. So again, once you put in some property information there, go ahead and scroll to the top and you will see on this red toolbar it says Save. So I can go ahead and click Save. And we see that nice little yellow bar that confirms the save was successful. Always makes me feel better. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to save on the top right red toolbar here. Once we do so, let's go ahead and click Back to Loop on the top left. So I clicked on Back to Loop on the top left, and that will take me back to my main loop, where I am now ready to pull in forms into my loop and rock and roll. So first thing that you'll want to do is you'll at least have one folder in your loop. If you selected a loop template when we were creating this, you may have more than one folder. Either way, we're going to want to see these three blue boxes, which will allow you to pull in forms. If you do not see these three blue boxes, just simply click Add Document to the far right of any of the folder names, and that will make these three blue boxes appear right away. Now in today's class, we're going to focus on the first blue box on how to pull in forms, and that will be the templates. Okay, the Dotloop 201 class will cover the next two blue boxes. If you'd like to check that out, feel free. But this first blue box here, you'll notice it says templates. Add an interactive form by selecting one from templates. What it means by interactive, it means that you can just start typing in the form. So go ahead and select that first blue box. And just something I want to point out to you guys, this icon right here is the same icon where we started class, right, with those blank forms. Just to pull that full circle for you, same section here. So we're clicking on the first blue box, and now this should look familiar, right, because this is that template section, with all of the form folders on the left-hand side in red. So I'm going to practice by bringing in a listing agreement. You can really bring in whatever form you would like to. The concept will be the same here. But so first step I'm going to do is on the left-hand side, all these red form folders. I'll use this little scroll bar to scroll on down and select whichever form folder I believe would have the listing agreement in this example. Once I select the form folder, it will turn that black, confirming that's selected. I can use the search bar on the top of this little pop-up box. I can click search to search for, let's say, the word listing, okay, whatever your listing agreement may be called in your area. Once I search for that form name, I can click on the checkbox to the left of whichever form that I would like to bring into my loop. Just a quick tip, you'll notice if it's a longer form name, it runs off the page here. If I hover my mouse over that form name there, it will give me a little black speech bubble telling me the entire form name. So once I click the checkbox to the left of whichever form or forms that I would like to pull in, I can just simply click copy on the bottom right. So I'm clicking copy on the bottom right. It'll give me this nice green checkbox that will let me know that it has been copied into my loop, and I can click OK. Now, when I get back to my loop here, I will see my new form that's been added to my loop. So I can simply click on that form name to open that in my loop right away. Okay, so it's as simple as clicking on the form name to open that up so I can start editing that right away. So when I click on that form name, it will take me into my form and you will see this autofill box. Now this autofill box is your best friend, so please never X out of it. Okay, we like this autofill box, huge time saver and sets up the form correctly for you. So in this roles section, okay, a lot of this information should already be in here since we already did this in the details section. It is super, super important, can't stress it enough, that you see your client's name in line with seller 1, for example, or they will not be able to electronically sign. Okay, so if it is just saying select person next to the role, make sure you go ahead and click on that and you can either select their name from the drop down, or you can click add person. So if I didn't know this client had a spouse and now I know, I can click add person and add in the spouse's information right away from here. Okay, so you can do that all from select person, but please make sure you see your client's name in line with seller 1. Listing agent, you'll want to make sure you see your name. So if you do not, same concept, just go ahead and click on that and click on your name from the drop down, and that will put that in. All right, so you need that to be done to electronically sign. Now this information should already be in there here, the property address, since we put that in the view details section, that's already entered in. However, you can type that in if you would like to. If you didn't have that, you can go down and fill out the rest of the information from here. Okay. You should also see if it's the listing agreement. Your information should already be entered in there because we did that in the My Account section at the beginning of class. So see, already saving you time there. You can add in any further information, but let's go ahead and scroll to the bottom and click autofill. So we're selecting autofill from the very bottom right. And it will bring you to your form, okay, where you want to note a couple things. So first of all, this little black speech bubble on the right hand side lets you know that 2 roles have been assigned and 14 fields have been autofilled. I can tell the fields that have been autofilled because they are yellow. So if you're wondering why some fields are yellow, it's indicating to you that those fields have been autofilled. If for any reason you accidentally X out of that autofill box or need to get back to it, you can simply do that by clicking on the autofill option on the top black toolbar. It'll bring it right back up. All right, so let's take a look at how to prepare the form. So typing in the form is as easy as literally clicking on any text box and start typing. Okay, so any text fields you can simply click to start typing. Any check boxes you can simply click to check. Any date fields, and I know it's a date field because it'll have a calendar in it. So let's say like a field that requires the expiration date, I can click on that. It will pop up this nifty little calendar that I can use the arrows on the top right and left to scroll through to the months. So let's say we have an expiration date of September 2nd. Okay, sorry, all I did was click on that date and it will pop it in. All right, so filling out the form is pretty intuitive. I think you'll really like it. Just practice a little bit and it gets really easy. You just simply click to start editing that field. It's the main concept of it. Now, what you would want to do once you've entirely filled out the form is now let's talk about the initial fields. So if you would like to scroll to somewhere on your form that requires initials, you can, or you can look on my screen. Okay, so you should see your client's initials in print in any initial fields. Now, if I were to print out this document, these initial fields would be blank. This TS, so my client's initials here in print, is indicating to me that I set it up correctly, that they can electronically sign. Okay, if it just says seller in both of these boxes, they will not be able to electronically sign because that field is not assigned to my client specifically. So, right, you have to tell Dotloop which client you want to sign which field so they can sign that. And this is pulling from that autofill box, right? So if you are just seeing it says seller in both of those fields, how you would fix that, you can just watch on my screen on that. How you would fix that is by coming back up to autofill in the top black toolbar. and making sure you see your client's name in line with the role. Okay, so seller 1 needs to have your client's name. And you would scroll down and click autofill. And that would fix that right away. Okay, but very important that you see your client's initials in print, indicating that they can electronically sign it. Now, once they do go to sign that, it will look very different. It is in cursive with a time and date stamp. Okay, so it does look very different. So let's take a look actually at what that will look like. So if there is a field you're supposed to sign as the agent, you would hover your mouse over that, all right? It's indicating I need to sign this because it's like orange, red here. Okay, so you can hover your mouse over that and click Sign Now. Now when you or your client go to sign a field for the first time, it will pop up a box like this that will verify that your name is spelled correctly and this is the correct signature that you would like to use. Okay, it only does this the first time that you go to sign a field. So let's say if you misspelled your client's name, for example, they would have the opportunity to change that here. In this case, since it's you as the agent signing, just confirm all looks good on the initials and signature and click Adopt and Sign. Once I do that, it will put in my initials with a time and date stamp. So you can see the big difference of how it looks when it's signed versus when it's just set up correctly for your client to be able to electronically sign it. So now moving forward, it's as easy as going to the next field I need to assign, click Sign Now, and it pops that in without further confirmation of my name spelling. And I can go down the entire form to do that. Alright, so I'm going to go down to a signature field just to show you guys what that looks like. It's the same exact concept. I just want you to feel comfortable with that. So on a signature field, again, same exact concept, but we will want to make sure it says your client's name, sign here, as opposed to just seller, sign here. It will need to say your client's name specifically. Where it has listing agent sign here, I'm going to do the same exact process as initials. I'll just hover my mouse over the orange box and click Sign Now. I'll pop in my signature with a time and date stamp. All right. So now let's talk about how to, actually one thing I want to show you guys before we share this form for electronic signatures. So let's talk about a scenario where, again, your client is not a fan of electronic signatures, or let's say you would just like to type up the entire form because it looks more professional having it typed, and then you're meeting with them anyway, so you would like to go ahead and print out the form and bring it along with you on your appointment so you can have them hand sign it. Okay, so use your imagination to we went through and we filled out the entire form. Okay, you can then print it out by coming up to File on the top black toolbar, and you can print that out. Okay, so that's definitely a method that a lot of agents will use. If they're meeting with their client and want to bring the form, they type out the form first and then go to File and print from there. You can also download the form on your computer. Okay, the difference is it will just simply download that to your computer, which is a great thing to utilize if you have a fully executed document, for example. It's always great to download a copy of that onto your computer. Okay, so let's talk about how to now share the form for electronic signatures. Now, it's very important that you go through and you type up the entire form first before you send it to your clients to be electronically signed. The reason for that is if they go ahead and sign the form and then you try to make a change to the form, it will erase all their signatures because it thinks they didn't sign for that, right? Which it makes complete sense. It's just a total pain. So again, make sure you fill out the entire form first, and then you can come up to Save and Share on the top right, that big red button here. So go ahead and click Save and Share on the top right, and it will pull you to the share screen. So in the share screen, it will show you, first of all, which document that you're sharing, who currently has access, so you'll always see your name and your office staff there. But if you can't remember if you already shared the form to your client, okay, their name would be here if you did. And you can see who we're adding, so who we're sharing to. So we see this client's name. This is really important. You see the client's role and how many fields they are able to electronically sign. So I can see this client has 11 fields assigned to them. That's how many they can sign. And you can see how you're allowing them to view the form. So where it says can sign on the far right, let's go ahead and click on that. So I can tell you a little bit about each option, each sharing option here. Now this is written on the notes that I sent over at the beginning of class. Okay, and you'll notice if you hover your mouse over any of these options, it gives you a little overview of what I'm about to say. So if you can't remember, it will tell you in the future. All right, but starting with can sign, that is the option that you will use 8, 9 times out of 10. Okay, that is typically all you want your client to be able to do. You're the real estate professional. You know what needs to be filled out in the form. So that's what you do. You go through, you fill out the entire form, and then you share it to your client. So all they need to do is sign the form. Okay, so can sign is the most commonly used share option here. But let's talk about the other options as well and when you would use those. View only. All right, so let's say you have a fully signed document and you need to send a fully signed contract, rather. You need to send that over to the mortgage provider. So what you would do, you could add in the mortgage provider here, their name, email address, and share as view only so they could get a copy of that fully executed contract. Another time, maybe you're representing a young couple and the parents want to be able to look over the forms before they sign it. You can add mom here, mom or dad here, and share as view only. Okay, so those are some times you use view only. Can fill and sign. That's most commonly used for property disclosures. So if you are sharing, let's say, a residential property disclosure where your client needs to fill out the information first and then sign it, so they are the ones who know the information about the age of the roof, age of the HVAC, HOA information, whatever else goes on the property disclosure, that will allow them to fill out the form first and then sign it. Can edit in private. This is an option that you'll typically want to use when you're sharing it to the agent on the other side. So let's say the agent, you are sharing a contract that has been signed by your clients to the agent on the other side. Sharing it to that agent on the other side as can edit in private will allow that agent to counter offer. It will allow that agent to make changes to the offer you're submitting to him or her. And of course, when that agent makes changes to that contract, it will erase your client's signatures, right? Because they didn't sign for those changes. And it will then allow that agent to share it back to you. So in general, the can edit in private gives them, the agent on the other side, all the same rights that you have. So great for sharing an offer, for example. But again, 8, 9 times out of 10, can sign. I totally know that's a whole lot of information to shove in your head at once. So feel free to reference the notes that I sent over and that will walk you through the share options as well. Once I pick the share option, I can go ahead and click share on the bottom right here. And just a heads up, you can attach it to the email as a PDF, so they can view it as a PDF or within Dotloop. Just a quick note on that. And I can click share on the bottom right. And again, it gives you this yellow bar that this document has been shared and is now waiting on others. Okay, and I can click done. All right, so that is how you prepare the form and share it to your client to be electronically signed. So I'd like to show you a couple more things in class before I wrap up, and that is how to submit it to your office to be, submit your loop for review to your office and where to go to get green sheets. And I'll also show you what it looks like from a client's perspective as well when they receive a form. So if you'd like to hang around and see those couple items here, I'll try and wrap that up within the next 5 minutes here. So now that I'm back on the form here, I can go ahead and click on the back button on the left-hand side to get back to my loop. And so first I'm going to show you how you would submit this loop for review. All right, so check in with your office staff on when they want you to be submitting for a review. So technically your office staff can see your loop if they go looking for it, but they generally do not unless you submit that for review. So on the top right, you will see an option to submit for review, and that will submit it to your office to be checked for compliance review. Okay, so that's how you get paid. All right, and don't do this now. They won't appreciate getting a bunch of random loops. All right, but if you click submit for review on the top right, it will ask you which folder that you're trying to submit. So say only your listing folder is ready for review. You can go ahead and select which folder and select the type if it's a buying or listing folder here. You can even include a note here on why you're submitting for review. Let's say if you're submitting a missing document And again, don't do this now, but you can click submit on the bottom there. Okay. So that's how you submit for review. And again, check in with your office on when they want you to be submitting for review. Generally, they'll want you to submit for review 3 different times if it's your listing. So you'll want to submit for review once when a listing goes live with all your listing documents in your loop, a second time when it goes under contract, okay, with a green sheet and all of your contract documents in your loop, and a third time when the property closes. Okay, if you're representing the buyer, they'll generally want you to submit for review twice, once when you go under contract, and a second time when it closes. That is different depending on your office's policy, so please make sure to check in with your office staff on when they want you to submit for review and what forms they want you to have with each time. Excuse me. How you access green sheets. So if you come up to view details on the top of your screen under the property address, you'll see it says view details. All right, and this is where we started our loop. So we clicked on view details under the property address or the loop name. You'll then have the option to submit to green sheet right from there. If you're asking yourself, what is a green sheet? All right, that is how you indicate to the office on how you're getting paid. So if you are splitting the transaction with another agent in your office, or if you have an outside referral fee, or whatever the case may be, that is what you're indicating on a green sheet. So you will typically need to fill that out before you can get paid. All right, check in with your office on when they want you to submit to green sheet. I believe generally that is when it goes under contract. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do in today's class, if you'd like to stick around, I was just going to show you what it looks like from a client's perspective. So when they receive a form from you to electronically sign, let me show you how easy Dotloop makes it for your clients to sign. All right, so I am now on the client's view. Let's say I'm in my Gmail account as a client, and I received this new form from my awesome agent, you, to electronically sign. So it shows me today at 2:05, I received this form, so I can go ahead and click on that. And it tells me my agent has shared a document with you for Loop and the Loop name. And I can click View Document here. Now when I click View Document, again this is from the client's perspective, how easy it makes it for them. I'll go ahead and click on this blinking button on the top right here that says Start Signing. It will then bring me right to the first place that I need to sign. So it shows me sign, click here. Got it, okay. So as a client, I'm going to go ahead and click there. I can confirm that my name is spelled correctly, or if I sign with the name Anthony instead, I could change that here. Same with initials, I could add a middle initial, click Adopt and Sign if all looks good. It will bring me right to page 2 to sign. So I can click here. It'll bring me right on down. Now, of course, they can't always scroll up to actually read what they're signing if they would like to, but it will always just pull them down to the next field that they are to electronically sign. So let me go ahead and sign all pages just real quick so you can see what it looks like after they're done signing. Maybe you can see how easy it makes it for your client to sign the next field. All right, so I'm clicking the final field. Once I'm done as the client signing, it'll blink here to finish signing. Once they click finish signing, it will prompt them to create a Dotloop account for free. They do not have to do that. If they do not do this step, you will still receive the fully signed document. However, if they do create an account within Dotloop, they will be able to sign back into Dotloop anytime and see all the different forms that they have signed. Okay, so they do have the option here. They can create an account or sign in right from there. If they do not choose to do that, or either way, they can come up to File and they can print off the document or download it to their computer so they can have a copy of the signed document as well for their records. All right, guys, so that was the version of what your clients see when they go to electronically sign it. So you can see how easy it is for your clients to sign, really great for you to see, so if they call you with questions, you know how to direct them. All right, so that was the Dotloop 101 class. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at support@scottleroymarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which again is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you'd like to check out the Dotloop 201 class, that is on slmtraining.com, and that will just take you through a little more of tips, tricks, time savers to make your Dotloop experience more effective and more efficient. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful, and let me know as you have questions. I hope you have a great rest of your day.